Imagineering is the art of creating experiences, crafting new moments, new places for people to go, new things for people to do, new memories for people to make. And as Marty Sklar often pointed out, there is no such career as an Imagineer. Imagineering, and what he would describe as Disney Imagineering, of course, would hire lots of people, call them Imagineers, but no one was hired as an Imagineer. For the most part, you're hired to do a job, just like any other studio and any other career. Everyone working there has a job to fulfill and a role to play. Imagineering and Imagineering companies may be somewhat more flexible in how they draw those lines and certainly how you can move through them, but the job of an Imagineer is really the job of an engineer, an artist, craftsman, doing one of 400 or 500 different jobs that it takes to make a memorable, exciting attraction like the ones at Disneyland, the ones at Universal Studios, and the ones in theme parks all around the world. So who are these people and what do they do?
There's everything from architects to show riders to engineers to lighting people to sound people to all different types of people who make dinosaurs and monsters and fake rocks and all sorts of crazy things you wouldn't expect, but all to tell an immersive, themed, and amusing and memorable story.
That's right. A typical Imagineering team is made up of a core group of leaders and a whole lot of craftsmen who actually make everything happen. The typical team has someone like Jeffrey, a creative director, who writes the stories and creates the concepts. Often a technical director like me will come in and figure out the systems and the technology to bring those ideas to life. An art director will design the look and feel of the attraction.
And the visual components of all of it, with the look and the color and the amazing sets and everything else along the way.
Graphic designers will create the signage, the displays. Animators will create animation either as media or as physical robotics like Garner Holt.
And then he'll bring in actors and voice actors to do characters, as well as storyboard artists to help tell those stories first in picture on boards. And then the next thing they'll go ahead is they'll try animatics and pre-visualizations. And then eventually they'll build out the attractions.
That's right, and someone needs to direct those actors. So just like any other media project, we have directors. We have sound engineers. We have scoring mixers. We have composers. There are, as I said, over 400 different careers that make up Imagineering and make up creative development for attractions and theme parks. And every week, we're adding new ones to that list. So how do you become an Imagineer? How do you join a group like Universal Creative or Walt Disney Imagineering? Well, you have to have a great imagination. It helps to have a love of theme parks and a love of experiences. But you also have to have a role to play, a skill that you bring to the table. And you need to be not just good, but fantastic at that skill because you are being brought onto a team of leaders, a team of pioneers and visionaries. And your job is to think outside the box, but to know your box, to know how to fill the role and how to perform the tasks that need to be done to make sure your part of the project is as successful, exciting, and memorable as possible.
And completely seamless with the rest of it, so that it's all part of one unique, memorable narrative that doesn't have a hitch along the way, but it's completely seamless and completely amazing.
Now the good news, for those of you who want to be Imagineers and aren't quite sure where you fit in, Rhett, is that unlike many other studios and unlike many other aspects of the entertainment industry, Imagineering and theme park development is one of the best avenues, the best venues for lateral movement amongst the creative process.
And trying out new things and new skills along the way too.
Because we typically are such a small creative group, it's very common that the animation engineers work hand in hand with the storyboard artists. and the storyboard artists work hand in hand with the writers. And the writers work hand in hand with the sound effects engineers.
Which are giving a prime example right now.
In fact, right now as we speak, the building behind us is exploding. You can probably hear the sirens in the background. What you're hearing right now took recording artists, it took engineers, it took synthesizer programmers, it took a director, it took a creative director, it took a technical director, it took an audio engineering team to actually install the speakers and the sound systems, a show control team to actually install the controllers to play those sounds, a lighting design team to actually design the lights, and a bunch of technicians to install those lights. And it takes an entire crew of maintenance staff and show quality services staff to maintain that operation on a daily basis to keep that building exploding every 15 minutes here at Universal Studios.
Over and over again, and have it reset over and over again. No different than like when you go on Earthquake here at Universal, which is a full stage earthquake set that will reset itself from the fires to the explosions to the truck that falls over and the water and everything else. And when moments later, like magic, it resets itself.
And considering the fact that was one of the first attractions I ever worked on, that tells you that that has been around for a long time and been resetting constantly every 10 minutes for the last, I don't want to say how many years.